Good evening, gladiators. We who are about to play salute you. Hey, I love doing that. It still feels like a novelty. Good evening, everyone. I hope you've had an awesome weekend. Welcome, of course, to the game's Gladiator. Tonight, we're playing... Well, this game needs no introduction. It is one of the greatest games of all time by anyone's standard. This is Super Mario Bros. Now, why am I playing this game, you ask? Everyone has played this game. This isn't a game that you will be unfamiliar with, most of you anyway. It has a cultural legacy that defies just about any other game out there. It has been played many, many millions of times, had many, many sequels and spin-offs, and Mario was probably more famous than anybody other than Jesus, maybe. The reason I'm playing this is because this game is right up there with the most influential in terms of having an impact on me and me wanting to be a game developer and designer. I have loved this game since I was a very small boy, and it is by far one of the games that I've thought about the most over the years. So I thought it might be fun to take a bit of a trip down memory lane and play a few levels of the original Super Mario Bros., the NES classic. So let's get into it, shall we? Here we are. Super Mario Bros. 1985, can you believe it? So this game came out when I was 7. Now, I never had a Nintendo Entertainment System, would you believe it or not? When I was a kid, I had friends that had this, so I'd have to go around to their house and play it in little bits, and I'd play for half an hour and then I'd go home and so on. And I saw it in shop windows, and on weekends we'd go down to the local shopping mall and so on, and I'd see it there and I'd just be memorized by it, and I would go home and draw pictures of it, and I'd remember the levels and so on. And so this game was so much to me, even though I never actually owned a Nintendo until I was probably 18. And I bought my first Super Nintendo as a retro device even back then. So this is a wonderful game. Now, this is not a surprise to you, but I'm not very good at this game. It is challenging, and you need some platform skills. I was better when I was younger, but as an adult, I've lost a lot of those. So we're going to play through it and see how we go. I do have my trusty 8-bit Do, which is this wonderful Super Nintendo style controller. It's pretty awesome. Good for playing video games. Now we're actually playing an emulated version of this through a browser, so it's not going to be completely faithful to the classic NES game, but that doesn't matter so much. I'm not that good at the game that I'm super worried about that, so doesn't matter. Anyway, let's give it a go. We'll play through this with our 3 lives, see how far we get, and then we'll see how we go from there. All right. So hopefully got music as well. Got music? We got music. All right, that classic theme by Koji Kondo. Now, this game was made by Shigeru Miyamoto, who is one of the most famous game designers of all time. And this was developed at around the same time as Legend of Zelda. So 2 of the best games of all time were being made at the same time by the same guys. And they originally planned this to be just sort of a player's adventures through many different worlds. It wasn't intending to be actually Mario as the character, but Mario Brothers had already come out, and it was just a simple game where you go, you two plumbers playing against each other, trying to squash turtles and so on. And they didn't have a character for this. It was a little placeholder square, and they ended up using that. Mario, one of the guys designing it, suggested let's use Mario, and that was it. Oh, embarrassing. Just horrible. But hey, look, we didn't die. Super Mario Bros was unusual at the time because one of the first games to come out with a blue sky background. Most of the games back then had black sky backgrounds because it reduced eye strain, and so it was unusual and quite a memorable step for these guys to go with that. Now, of course, we're underground. The famous theme. So, you know, you get all the coins, you get 100 coins, you get an extra life and so on. It's funny, all the things that were made famous by this game have been replicated so many times by so many different platform games. Most of them came out because of this game. You know, the collecting coins, the power-ups, everything. It's so influential in ways that, you know, had never been seen before. It's just a wonderful, wonderful milestone of the game. I'm not that good at this. I'm really feeling it at the moment, playing under pressure, even though this is only level 1, 2. Disappointing. I think we can jump all the way over that. There we go. Now there is a warp zone here. You can go up and jump through the roof and get it to different levels. We're not going to do that. We're going to play this straight up. Just go through every level. If you wanted to, you could go up on the roof there and go to like World 3, 4 if you wanted to. I think even World 4. Well, let's try this again. Let's hopefully get the flag this time. There we go. Just to prove I can do it. I love the music in this game. It's so iconic. Koji Kondo, I think, also did the Legend of Zelda theme. So this guy, you know, is responsible for two of the most famous music themes of all time. See those clouds there? They're also, if you find another level, I'll show you that those clouds actually duplicated bushes because they had a very limited amount of space to work with. They had to squeeze in a lot of tricks just to get the game to fit, and so they reused graphics where they could. Don't know why I bothered doing that. The old Goombas. Lost that first life already. Disappointing. My very good buddy John Stayskull is a legend at Mario. I've watched him play through this and finish the whole game in about 15 minutes. Now, of course, that game can be finished much quicker than that, but by, you know, mortal standards, that's pretty damn good. He knows all the tricks. Now I know many of the tricks, but I'm just not good at executing those tricks. I think there's a mushroom down here. Now, many people have different favorite Mario Brothers games. My favorite is probably Super Mario World or Super Mario 3, but this one is the most iconic because this is the you know, the creator. This was the one that got them all started. So when I close my eyes, this is the Mario I think about, even though those other ones are better and more enjoyable from a, you know, depth point of view. This one has, you know, this is where it all started. Right. Oh, only 2,000. Ooh. Now we're getting to the first Bowser Castle. Another fun point of note, which most of you will know this, but there might be some younger viewers who didn't know this, but Mario was first called Jumpman, and he appeared in Donkey Kong. He wasn't called Mario at all. He was just a little guy who had to rescue the princess, and her name wasn't Princess. It was something else. I've forgotten. Oh damn it! I needed that. Oh dear! We've got to get past World 1. This is embarrassing. We didn't get past World 1. All right. So what I'm going to do now is switch over to the Super Nintendo version of this, which was part of Super Mario Allstars. Same game, just remastered graphics and new soundtrack. And we're going to play it again with that and see if we can get a little bit further. All right, we'll be back. All right, we're back and we have loaded Super Mario Brothers. The All-Star Pack, I think it's Super Mario All-Stars it was called. And I remember buying this back on the old Super Nintendo when I was 18, and it came with the Super Nintendo came with this pack, and it had all 3 games. So you had Super Mario, there we go. You had Super Mario The Lost Levels, which was a bunch of really tough extra levels. I think that was designed to be Super Mario 2, but it was too tough for Western audiences. Super Mario 2, which was another game which was reskinned as Mario, not one of my favorites, probably my least favorite of the originals. The awesome Super Mario 3, which is probably one of the greatest Super Mario of all time, of the 2D ones, and the classic. So let's go and play this one. So here we are, Super Mario Bros. All-Star version. So basically the same game, remastered graphics, and some niceties like, you know, showing the picture before the world, and of course a classic Super Nintendo soundtrack. Alright. It feels a bit slidier in this version, and that's something to get used to. And this is the sprite that they used for a few different Mario things, so yeah, I mean, this is way more polished than the original, but the original has its charm, you know. I have, you can see here, a classic Super Mario figure here from the old 8-bit era. You know, I'm supposed to be playing, aren't I? Not been breaking any records tonight, that's for sure. Oh. Well, you can't say I don't have form, that's for sure. It's bad form, but you can't say I don't have it. I love that castle. It's quite iconic, and I like the way the sprites are there. You can play a version of Super Mario 3 that looks a lot like this on the Game Boy Advance. If you don't have a Game Boy Advance, you can find an emulator for it, for those interested. Of course, the parallax scrolling backgrounds, which you see here, are new. And some new sound effects. I've forgotten how to slide under there. I mean, I know how, but I just... forget it. Embarrassing it as it is. It's fun to think, I mean, I really was... I'm not going to say I was good at this, but I was a lot better than I am now. And as a kid, you just play this game so often it becomes muscle memory. I was chatting to a buddy of mine, Jeff Wicks, a very great friend of mine from back in the day, and we were talking recently about Super Mario versus Wonder Boy. And now Wonder Boy was a Sega game, and we were both Sega guys. Although we loved Nintendo, we both owned Sega Master Systems and Sega Mega Drives. And this is long before the internet. Wow, carbon copy of what I did last time. Before the internet, you just didn't really know how big something was. Occasionally you would see magazines and read about stuff, and your only frame of reference were other kids in the playground telling you that this was better than that, or this was more popular, or whatever. And we had other friends who were really into Sega as well, and we thought that Sega was as big as Nintendo, and we thought that Wonder Boy was as big as Mario. And we thought, you know, this character is huge, but turns out we were very wrong. Nobody even knows Wonder Boy. You know, obviously people know him if you know video games, but certainly not the cultural icon that Mario is. Although I love Wonder Boy. I mean, Wonder Boy I think is equally cool. I love Wonder Boy, especially the more role-playing versions of Wonder Boy, the Wonder Boy in Monster Land and Wonder Boy Dragon's Trap and so on. They went in quite a different direction, but the original Wonder Boy felt a lot more like a Mario game. I'm going to play that another night, actually. How did I stuff that up? Come on, you can do better. I love seeing speedruns of a game like this. If you want to be impressed, obviously don't watch the game's Gladiator because I'm not that good at these, but if you want to be impressed, go watch a speedrun of Super Mario, and you can see people finish the entire game. I don't know if I'm exaggerating here, but in about 5 minutes. and it's phenomenal. So fast. And they know every jump. You know, people that can finish this game blind. You know, blind drunk and actually blind. Whereas I'm not even sure I'm going to get past Bowser's Castle tonight, but we'll see. I have a Nintendo Switch and I love it. I highly recommend it to anyone who is a parent, or a young parent, or parent of a young child. Switch is great for late night gaming when, you know, you just wrecked and you're in bed and you want to play a game but you can't be bothered going and firing up the console on the TV and so on. And I've been playing Mario Odyssey on that, and I finished it now, but it has a lot of wonderful nods back to the classic Mario, including a lot of side-scrolling 2D bits, much like this one. I'm getting all nervous now about that. Oh no. Do we have any more lives? We got 2 more lives, that's good. I need to be big, that's the problem. You have to risk it. Oh. Oh no! Why is this causing me so much problems? Maybe it's the controller. No, I'll blame the controller. No, it's not the controller. It is... I'm an old bastard, that's what it is. I'm just not that good at these things anymore. I actually, when Isaac was born, the first few weeks of of being a parent, God, I'm tired, sorry. You actually have a bit more time than you would imagine. The babies sleep a lot on your chest, and so I had time to play through a couple of the classic Mario games and Zelda Link to the Past. And I played them with save states, so if I died, I'd go right back to, you know, where I jumped off and so on. And I was able to finish this game without cheating, which is great. And I was pretty happy with that because I'd never really done it, surprisingly, considering how long I'd had the game. I finished Mario 3 and so on, and Mario World, but never this one. This one should be... There's Bowser. We did it! Yes! We've finished Super Mario Bros. Hurrah! Or have we? Because the classic "Thank you, Mario, but our princess is in another castle." Don't you love it, Toad? So now on World 2. Well, at least I haven't completely embarrassed... No, I have embarrassed myself, but at least we've gotten to World 2. I can't wait till Isaac is old enough to play these games. I want to show him what video games used to be like. I mean, he'll probably be thinking, "Dad, this is boring and, you know, I don't like this." It's like, you know, your grandparents showing you black and white movies and so on. That's what I'm sure it'll be like for the kids of tomorrow. I don't know. These things feel kind of timeless. They're fun, they're colourful, they're easy to play. 2D ages so much better than 3D, and a game like this, you know, a classic is a classic forever. I watched Casablanca with my wife earlier this year in black and white, the old Humphrey Bogart film, and it's wonderful. It really is. It's in black and white, but it's an epic film, and that was made around 1942 or something like that, you know. So just because something's old, don't write it off. That's a real old fart story, isn't it? Get those. Whee! If we can get 100 coins, we will get ourselves an extra life. And that may be the only thing keeping us from death. Oh, oh dear. Don't die there. I hate these springs. I never found them easy to use. Alright, let's get 5,000. Hey! There used to be always rumours back in my school days that you could jump over the flag. You could jump over the flag. I don't think it was actually possible. But, you know, kids tell stories. And we couldn't prove it one way or another because there was no internet back then. Oh, the old classic underwater level now. With the beautiful sort of carnival style music. Alright, 3 more coins is all we need. These levels actually get quite tricky because control is different to how we normally swim, and those jellyfish move very erratically, and they can swim through walls. Oh, one more coin. I need that coin. I'm gonna risk it. Alright. Yeah, so don't underestimate the water world because they are tricky. For some reason, I don't know why, if it's just this version, but you don't actually see how many lives you have in this screen. I know Super Mario 3 and so on, it tells you how many lives you have, but you only see when you die, so I'm pretty sure I was down to my last life. There is a minus world in this game, I think. There's a way to get to it, I can't remember what it is, but it's a legend about some backwards water world that... there's a way to get to it, but I can't remember exactly. Alright, we're doing a little bit better after the shaky start. Maybe we will finish the game tonight. Dream big, Gladiators, dream big. I love the scrolling backgrounds here. They're cool. There's sort of pillars in the background. Oh, these fish are nightmares. Now, you know, there's really no one in the world that probably hasn't played this game. Oh! I risked it and it didn't work. Extra life. One Mario left. But, you know, you can't see this game and not smile and not want to play it. There's something just beautiful about it. Now, Shigeru Miyamoto, when they were designing this, I need that so I can get a bit of a buffer. They didn't have a level designer. They didn't have a level creator at the early days, so they designed all the levels on paper, which I thought was pretty cool. Oh, man. Don't let that be the end. Is that the end? We're going to continue. Let's continue. Damn right we'll continue. That's technically cheating, really, but, you know. We can do this. It's taking us back to the beginning of World 2, but we'll fly through it. Now I've got my... Every time I say I'm confident, something like that happens. It's funny. I always wanted to make a Mario platform style game, but, you know, I just feel like it's very hard to improve on it now, and there's so many games that have been made like this. It's very hard to improve on perfect. So I always held off on it. I've done my own stupid versions of Mario just for fun, but never released them. Just, you know, using the sprites from the game and so on, but never anything I've released. And any platform games I've made have never been that good. Not a strength of mine, but there's a skill to it. And a brilliance to the level design that, come on, except for this bit is not brilliant. There we go. There is a brilliance to the level design. Everything is placed for a reason, especially the early levels where the player is being guided and no need for tutorials or help. Just visual, you know, visual cues. It is a masterwork. You can look up articles on why this game is so special, and for game designers, it is something that you need to study. If you're getting into game design, if you're young or you're old, if you're just getting started, you've been around a while, you need to study this game and learn from all the design decisions they made, because as old as it is, they have had a massive, massive influence on the video game industry, and even just the way the jump feels. Everything feels right. Everything feels natural and easy to control, and you know, they nailed it. They knocked it out of the park. And of course, the Nintendo Entertainment System would go on to become one of the biggest selling consoles of all time, and pretty much saved the games industry, really. I don't think it's too big to say they did after the arcade crash of the early 80s. The home entertainment systems like the Nintendo and the Sega saved games, I think. And that's why you still see Mario today, and you know, he's as big as ever. You know, there's been hundreds of Mario games, but still one of the best. I really like the new Super Mario Brothers, the games you get on the Wii. They're a lot of fun. You can play them with your friends, you can play them with young kids and your nieces and nephews and so on. Because they have up to 4 players, and if you die, you put in a little bubble, and that's so your friends who aren't that good, they can be sort of dragged along, and then you can kind of pop them when they're in a safe spot again, and they'll come back out, and you can continue on the game. This is a hard level. I've always found this one tricky because these guys have a sort of sign-like movement that really is hard. And I know I always rant about bats in video games, because bats always have this movement like this up on a oscillating curve, and it's very very tricky for a player to predict and jump away from. Oh, here we go, another Bowser Castle. I get intimidated by that music there. Doo, 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 doo. I find it really tough. One of the new Super Mario games, Bowser actually chases you through the castle, destroying the whole world as he goes. It's really scary. My younger sisters, I have 2 younger sisters, and I, when I bought the Super Nintendo, I was about 18. I have really fond memories of the 3 of us playing it and bonding over it. It was a bit of a challenging time in our lives, and we really got to know each other very well when they were younger teenagers. I'm a bit older, family breakups and that kind of thing, and this game was very special to us, and we'd take turns playing levels and getting through it. My younger sister Annie, youngest one, she was really good at the Mario games, and she I think finished Mario 3 before I did. Okay, we can't be scared forever, we need to keep going. Oh no, oh no. I can jump under him, I think. Risky. I want to get up there. Be brave. Be bold. Sink him. Alright. I mean, I feel a bit bad that we had to use a continue, but I wanted to show you a little bit more than just World 2, right? We've got to get a bit further. I have been playing a lot of newer games lately, like Kingdom Come and For Honor and so on. So I wanted to get a little bit back to my retro roots, because these are the games that I know and love. Here at the Games Lady, I like to try and play a bit of everything, Games that I know, games that you know, games that are obscure. I think the only real proviso is that I like to play games generally that I have some kind of connection to, that speak to me. I haven't tried, Fortnite and so on, just because it's very popular. It's something that's been played by a million people, and maybe I will do a video. I don't know, depends, but I don't want to just do something just because it's popular. It's got to be something that I'm interested in, and you guys are interested in, and I want to make more Swords and Sandals videos because I know you guys love them. It's just there's just at the moment not that much Swords and Sandals content and I don't want to get too repetitive about it, but I'm going to be doing some more Sword and Sandals Pirates videos soon, some behind the scenes. These Hammer Brothers are always very tough, because their hammers have that sort of sign movement there. Oh, tough. This could be the end for us. No? 2 more lives. Alright. But yeah, I wouldn't mind doing some behind the scenes Swords and Sandals Pirates videos, and show you a little bit how that game is coming along, and kind of how I made it, because I did a behind the scenes video on how the other Sword and Sandals games were made, and that was well received, so I wouldn't mind talking through that with you. I do love talking about the craft of game development, and once I start building the next game sometime next year, which there will be another Sword and Sandals at some point, Sword and Sandals 6 of course, but there will be a few other games in between that, because I wouldn't mind having a little break from it and trying out a few things. But once I start moving over to the Unity game engine, I'd love to do a couple of videos with you guys, just kind of telling you about my experiences of it and how I'm finding that, because I'm not very good at Unity and I've only made a few little things in it, so maybe we could learn together and I can, share some of my learnings. That was a bit crap. Anyway, let me know in the comments if that sounds interesting to you, and we'll start up a series on that once I do move over to Unity later in this year. Pirates, I'm hoping I keep saying hopefully comes out in November, but my God, it's nearly halfway through September now, and that's scary. Back to Super Mario. Now, this is a pretty big game. There are 32 levels, so 8-4 is the last one. And back in the day, that's quite generous. Like by today's standards, not so many, but levels get very challenging. I do find this the All-Stars version easier to play. That's our first star. Can you believe it? Oh no, no. I'm cursed. And now this is our last life, and when this life is over, so too is the video. So let's see how we go. I find this easier than the original. I think the controls are just a little tighter. I don't know if it's just in my imagination or just the fact that the graphics are a little crisper, but oh, don't do that, no! Get that star. We need that star. Have a little do. Oh, we got one more life. I must have added some coins. I thought that would have been the worst way to end this video, but a very fitting way. Oh my gosh. What am I going to play next? This is a great question. And a question that I will now have to answer at some point. Super Mario Bros. What an excellent game. I love it so much. I'm going to play a couple of other retro games, maybe even tonight, which I'll release in a video for later in the week. I'd love to play Ghouls and Ghosts, is one of my favorites. The original Wonder Boy. Double Dragon. Some of the Neo Geo games, some of those beat 'em up type games. I want to play Dungeons and Dragons, Shadows over Mysteria, and Tower of something or other. And of course, some of the newer games like Divinity Original Sin, Chivalry, and Stronghold Crusader is another one I want to play. So these are coming up. Anyway, thank you for your patience tonight as we blundered our way through one of my favorite games and one of the greatest games of all time, Nintendo's legendary Super Mario Bros. Bye for now.